This is a podcast in which two friends have serious conversations about silly things and silly conversations about serious things.
I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller.
Welcome to Midlifing. It's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. I like your jumper.
Oh,
is it New Zealand wool?
I haven't actually checked. It's not new. It came out of my mother's wardrobe. I think it might have been my mother's jumper.
It's a remarkably good fit and colour on you.
Yes,
I like it.
it is. Yeah, it's got that really soft wool too. It's really fluffy.
So is this now your jumper, or are you just wearing it because you're cold?
I'm going to just settle into it and see how it is.
Yeah, live with it for a little while.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to imagine having too many jumpers.
I used to think that about coats.
But now you've changed your mind.
Well, now I have more coats than I have days in the week.
Ah, you do have a lot of coats, don't you?
I have to layer.
Like coat layer.
You have to wear 2 coats at a time to be able to get them all out in a week so that they can all have some nice time in the sunshine or the rain.
Yeah, I don't have that. I don't suffer from that same problem. So yes, it's nice and warm, and it's on me, and it's cozy.
Mm.
And also because I've been away quite a while now. I'm a little bit like, I got to wear those clothes again.
Yeah.
I didn't bring a lot of clothing. Yes, and of course this is the first time that I think it's the first time I've ever had to pack for a funeral months before it was going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't have a lot of those kinds of clothes. But I found my... this is going to be quite hard, Lee.
I know. I wanted to say to you, I wanted to just start talking, but then I also kind of want to say, we can pull the ripcord on this whenever you want.
Well, also, it's just that all roads lead to the same place, really.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
I know.
I have a feeling we're dancing here.
Simon, we are dancing, and you know that we are, and we both know that we are.
I don't know there's much to be said, except that Gabrielle, my mother, died on Thursday. And it's now Saturday night. And I've been saying to people I just have the heaviest of heavy hearts. And I'm in shock, I think, even though my eyes were very open to what was happening and that it was going to happen. But yes, my world feels unstable. Yeah, it hurts.
Simon, sweetheart.
Yeah, but and I don't. The thing is, I'm sort of also wary of talking about it in this context because I don't really, I'm not sure, frankly, how interesting it is to listen to a person grieving. But I also thought it would have been weird not to say it, given the preceding weeks.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, yeah. I think your observation about something being interesting or not interesting for people to listen to is very generous, but I might humbly suggest that we have never concerned ourselves about whether or not we were interesting in the past. And
so why start now?
Exactly. If there is something that needs to be said, then you should feel that you can say it. I think it's in King Lear where he's asking... I
love that you can do this.
Yes. And Goneril and Regan are able to do it. They're able to find flowery language to tell them. And Cordelia, his youngest and favoured child...
Favourite.
Yes. She says something along the lines of, I can't exactly remember the quote, but she says, there are not words enough to wield the matter. And he's really dissatisfied with that because he wants hyperbole. But I think it's a phrase that has sat with me since I first heard it when I was probably about 15. The idea that there are not words enough to wield the matter, that sometimes language fails us. And I think in moments like today, being aware that it's okay to not know how to get the things that are inside of your chest out for other people is fine.
I'm also decided today, or maybe it was last night, that I would have a go at writing a eulogy for Mum. And it's interesting, the Leah thing, in part because, well, first of all, what a strange idea that the woman who gave birth to me and nurtured me, etc., is someone that at one day in my life I would speak about her to other people at her funeral. I find that, I do find that weird. But again, like I say, also a pretty common thing, I imagine. What was the Leah thing again?
Well, the Leah thing, I said there are not words.
The Cordelia's
speech, there are not words enough to wield the matter. I think it's a bastardization of it. She's talking about love, so she I love you more than words can wield the matter. I think it might be the exact. I love you more than words can wield the matter. Yeah. So, but that's fine if you're talking about love. But if you just want to press the second half of the sentence into service, I think it works just as well.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that very simple thing, which is what kind of circle is that when the person who taught you to speak, who taught you to read, who surrounded you in books, who effectively gave you the capacity to one day speak of them at their funeral. Like, yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, and so there's something, the permanence of that, and I find myself very, what a debt.
Yeah.
What an extraordinary gift.
Perhaps this is the post-structuralist in me.
I thought you were going to mention critical race theory there.
No, I thought I'd just go to something else that we could argue.
Oh my God, that friend of mine, Lee Miller, with that critical race theory tick he's got. You know, other people say what, like biscuit or fuck, but no, he says critical race theory.
I literally have said it 3 times in a year. Okay, but maybe it's the post-structuralist in me. But when you're talking about when you just said what you just said, that feels to me like the opening of the most beautiful eulogy. To be talking about the structures that she puts in place that allow you to be able to stand here in this moment, and the notion of the debt. And I know it's one of those sort of literary tricks to write your way into writing through writing.
Yes, and it's also, I mean, you are very good at it. You and Bob are very good at it, but it's also something it interests me. It's the lines between the sort of the self-awareness / consciousness of that, and the way in which it might also feel, I'm going to say, heartfelt.
It felt heartfelt as you said that to me, and I would be unmanned if I was to be sitting in a room and listening to you say that.
Can you said unmanned?
Yeah, which is just a really problematic gendered term for saying I would cry.
You're an easy audience when it comes to crying.
Yeah, okay. We just It's Lachrymose Lee and his squeaky eyes.
It's Lachrymose Lee and his squeaky eyes. Show title. And but I also found in my mother's wardrobe my dad's blazer from when he was at Sydney University. So I think I'm going to wear that to Mum's funeral.
I think that's beautiful.
I think she'd like it. He'd like it. And it's not like garishly coloured, just to be clear. It's like red, white, and green.
Is it one of those
stripes?
Is it one of those stripy ones that you see? Because that's, I think
like
I think
the
that's
cricketers
exactly,
wear.
Yeah, it's exactly. Oh, we shouldn't start talking about cricketers this week.
Oh, you mean because of the Yorkshire?
Yeah.
I think I'd just prefer it if people said, I think I'm a racist.
Yeah, wouldn't it be so much quicker and easier to say, I'm sorry, I think I'm a racist. Part of that is because of the society in which I live, and part of it is because I'm a dick who doesn't do any work on themselves.
But the problem with that, I think, is also, this is old territory, really. But it's the equivalent of saying I'm a criminal, meaning someone who's been in prison. That they basically tarred with that brush when they're all sorts of things, aren't they?
It's the whole them and us that we, cracked open way back when.
Back when our first year of midlifing.
Yeah, we're now deep into our, one episode into our second year.
Sophomore year.
Oh, yeah. Does that mean we get to be sophomoric throughout the entire year?
To them, to us and them, to other people, it's part of being a social creature. In order to be a social creature, we also have to effectively antisocial, meaning they are not in this group.
I read something really interesting the week before last, and this is one of those rare moments where I actually read it. I didn't have it read to me. I read it myself. I used my eyes.
What a big you had your big boy trousers on. Is that as I've heard so people?
Hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I was still toddling while I was reading it. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, one day I will explain what that means. But Simon knows very well.
Are you sure you haven't explained what that means?
Have I explained toddlering to people?
I think you might have.
I might have.
Please, faithful listeners, write in and remind us if indeed you go, oh yes, I know what.
I'm confident that Simon hasn't put a photograph of me toddlering up in the show notes because
I would remember that for sure.
I would remember that for sure. I was reading with my
I think
eyes.
our listeners would remember it for sure. Speaking to you, Corbetron.
there was I can't remember if she was an animal behaviourist or if she was an anthropologist or if she actually crossed over between the two. I think it was that she crossed over between the two. Her research areas was in the interstice between those two territories, and she was writing about the apparent proliferation of the new notion of pet parents.
As Pauline Hanson in Australia used to say, please explain.
Okay.
That is a deep cut, I tell you what.
That is a deep cut, but I have no idea what you're talking about, but I can explain.
Anyway, yes, I don't know what you're talking about either.
Okay, let me explain. So, the idea of pet parenting, it's been written about in a variety of kind of, think pieces, BuzzFeed listicles, Guardian articles, the Daily Mail, that kind of place will be writing about the preponderance of people, and they'll probably throw the word millennial in there just to be shitty about it, deciding not to have human children, but instead having pets in their home and then treating their pets as if they are children. And the kind of the demonization is a bit strong, but the mockery of the people who do that, as if you could nurture an animal in the way that you could nurture a child. And this anthropologist / animal behaviouralist says, actually, human beings are hardwired to nurture, and we nurture many things, many different types of things. Without nurturing, we wouldn't have agriculture, we wouldn't have had animal husbandry. So we are predisposed as a species to nurture. So I wanted to do that as a massive preamble to say, if I were to say, yes, I think the nature of humanity or human nature,
humankind
is to be racist. I also want to say, and it's within our nature to nurture. It's that thing where if I say we are all racist, it then makes us singular, and we're not. All I mean when I bring it up is we should be trying to address the systemic problems that allow us to unproblematically rule people outside of the narratives that include ourselves.
The implication being that if each of us says, I'm a racist, that somehow puts us on the path to addressing those systemic problems.
Well, I would hope so. I would hope if we were to own that we have been socially constructed to us and them, that we could work towards a recognition that there are things that have to be done, and that we would be able to stop getting huffy about the notion of white privilege, because that's just that's an artifact of us and theming, and that some people have been unproblematically able to continue to rise up a ladder that they are eminently unsuited for. Please see Boris Johnson dozing next to David Attenborough at the COP26 conference in Glasgow. Fast asleep, like a big fucking useless house cat. That was mean. I shouldn't have said that. There's no such thing as a useless house cat. They're all delightful.
Especially for all those pet parents out there who are looking after their cats. It seems to me that it's either way, whether the Yorkshire Cricket Council, if I've got the right organisation, says, they say we're not racists. There's just a racist culture. The implication is that leads to a different kind of trajectory with a different end result from if they were to say we're a bunch of racists, we have a racist culture, and et cetera, that the end result will be a better result.
Well, I think saying that the Yorkshire CCC are institutionally racist is like, it kind of, for me, that sounds like a building is.
Yeah.
That sounds like the
So
grounds
you're saying
and
not taking responsibility.
Yeah, that's sort of where I get a little bit, I get a little bit like, I don't really understand what you mean by that, because that a building can't be institutionally racist, a grounds can't be institutionally racist. What you mean is the people who occupy the roles are. So if you say that the Yorkshire County Cricket Club are ... you're not owning your space. So your space in the narrative. I just think it would. Yeah, I'm obviously asking far too much of a group of people who think it's okay to use the P word and claim that is banter. Because that P word used to have another word after it in the 1980s, 70s and 80s, and that word was bashing. Yeah. That's not banter. It doesn't take long for us to remember that that P word, it was followed by bashing, and people with haircuts much like mine would go out looking for people, and they would attack them. So let's just reflect that to decide to use that language as a way to amusingly josh with people who have not made any move to reclaim that word is nothing but racist. It doesn't matter what the person who was on the receiving end of that word appeared to be giving back to you in those moments. I was having this conversation with, I said I was going to interview the actor who lives across the road from me.
Oh, yes.
I did.
How was it?
It was amazing. And his family is from Pakistan. He moved here when he was 3. And he didn't move here when he was 3 because I'm in Lisbon. He moved to the UK when he was 3. And yeah, it was. We got deep into the weeds of critical race theory. There was all sorts of stuff that we talked about. It was great. It was a really good.
Does critical race theory have weeds?
I meant the long grass of it. You know what I mean, you ding dong.
I was just wondering what the weeds would look like.
They would look elegant and long and sprawly and scritchety and little. I don't know.
Yeah. I just like that idea about weeds, though, that they're just weeds or whatever that you choose them to be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to pull those ones out. I'm going to call them weeds.
Yeah, that's... here we go. Here we go back to the idea of the human animal being nurturing, but at the same time being able to go, I will rule this out. This does not deserve my nurture. So Bob's mum would regularly come to our garden and go, oh, that's a weed. And we'd be looking at it and going, no, it's a very pretty plant that we like a lot. And she'd try to pull it up and we'd be like, can you stop? We really like that it grows there. It looks really nice. But it's a weed. It's a wild plant.
I'm mortified because actually I think some people who actually listen to this podcast, I was house sitting for them back in Melbourne, and it was such a generous thing they did, and They were coming to visit. It was the first time for ages. And he was so kind. I'd just looked at the garden going, as a 20, whatever, 5-year-old, 6-year-old maybe, and proceeded to pull up what I thought were a whole bunch of straggly things.
Oh no, you just decimated their garden.
I did. And I still feel just a little bit clammy even just mentioning because bless him, of the two, he just very patiently just replanted them, and I don't know what happened. But yes, I think they had a too higher opinion of my of how green my thumbs were. They got greener.
I've seen strawberries grown in your window box.
Oh, but we used to have a big garden in Melbourne, actually, Elizabeth and I. Tomatoes and zucchini and capsicum and, tomatoes was our lots of tomatoes. Mm.
Do you miss being able to grow things?
Well, actually, Elizabeth has an extraordinary garden effectively on our balcony, actually, in London. And she keeps that garden, it's fair to say. I keep the worms, as
we know.
Unfaithful listeners, or as I like to think of them as ULs. Our ULs and FLs, they will know. Why is that funny?
I don't know, because it just is ULs and FLs, because it's taken us a year to be able to shorthand unfaithful listeners to our ULs and FLs. I kind of like that, because this is right in your wheelhouse. We need to save time.
Acronyms?
Well, just, a workflow model that will just be more efficient.
If I didn't know you better, I'd think you were just having a little dig at me then, but I know you're not. You're just praising my ability to organise and
Simon,
project manage.
Simon, I would never have a dig at you. Just looking at project management, just looking at the things I'm supposed to do makes me...
Wither.
I get hives. My eyes start to water. I have to lie down in a darkened room until Bob says, "It's okay, nobody needs you to do any work today. You can just rest."
The thing about that, I'm a racist.
Why are we even going down this path again? It's my fault. I just said because you said cricket.
I can't believe you fucking bring in critical race theory, frankly.
I would much rather talk about your dad's blazer. Does it have a pattern? Is it a solid material? Does it have piping? Is there a badge at the pocket?
There's a badge.
Excellent. Talk to me about the badge.
I mean, we're testing this, really, aren't we? We don't. I mean, again, it's this trying to these lines between just how private a person she was, and then here I am talking about her on a podcast. So I'm very wary of that. Also, she because she listened to this, not every time, as some listeners may remember, she wasn't a big fan of your swearing.
And I will hold to the fact that I have only ever protected your reputation because I knew that your mum listens to the podcast.
There's some episodes I definitely did not send, and thank goodness she didn't know how to subscribe to a podcast. And just in case there is podcasting in heaven, Mum, when I left home as a 14-year-old, and you said, I think that's okay as long as you go to church every Sunday. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't quite make it.
Okay. Of all the things that we have confessed to on this podcast, that's the bit that you're worried about. Okay. Good stuff.
Oh, and the porn bits.
And the watching 15-year-olds through a window with no curtain.
See, when you say it like that, it sounds really creepy.
Yeah, I know, it really does. What I meant to say was washing. No, there's no way to say it out of context.
I thought you were going to say watching the dishes and washing them.